This is the worst setup ever. My books are like falling. Oh. Okay. Okay, hopefully that stays. Just waiting for it to connect here so I can pause it. All right, there we go. Okay, so welcome everybody. Just a little disclaimer. Many of you noticed my promo that I give all the credit to my husband for. He is the one. He likes to use people's words who maybe have something to say about him or me and put them into promos. So he did that for me today. It was posted. I have tried to keep all of that nonsense off of my channel for the last 4 years. But keep in mind that promo, I'm sure there's more clips out there that we know have gone on with they're in sermons that have been deleted and such, and we can't remember the names of them. So we're not going to find them. But keep in mind that this is over 4 years. I have tried to keep anything related to the NIFB off of my channel since we separated ourselves from them. But I have been getting so many messages and so many emails and different things regarding this situation. And because everyone knows that Tommy, everyone knows our opinions when it comes to any form of spousal abuse, domestic abuse in the home. And we've been very, very vocal about that. And I'm not going to stop being vocal about that. And so it has amped up to an all new high of just different personal attacks and different things. And I am having whole sermons dedicated to me now. So that is a little bit of what will come eventually if we decide to make a reaction video to different clips and things. I have not listened to that sermon in entirety. I was given bullet points. I honestly, it's lies. The whole sermon is. And so I have no interest in watching that because my goal from the time that I was saved at 4.5 is to be a godly Christian lady. And to have a preacher using his pulpit to call me a Jezebel is disgusting and pathetic. And I don't have time because I am a very busy woman to watch things like that. So I've been giving the bullet points. My husband and I might eventually do a reaction video. So he combed through it and got the clips that you saw. And hi, Reese. So he combed through it and got the clips that you saw. And honestly, at this point, it's comedic value that this stuff is still even going on because the proof is in the pudding, folks. I have a son who is an adult and married and adores his mom and is very upset about this sermon. And the fact that they are attacking him right now with all this drama going on, a son who is defending his father and a son who is defending his mother against these attacks is completely insane to me. And I would think that they would have enough social awareness not to do that, but yet here we are. So I am not intimidated by bullies, and I will not allow that to shut me up because I am a defender of truth and justice and the biblical way of doing things. And hitting your wife is never a biblical way to do things. And I will stand by that, and they will not. I don't care what they say about me. That does not make me a Jezebel because I don't teach people to go out and commit fornication and to be adulterers and to rebel against their husbands, no matter what they say. So that is all a little promo, a little tease of what might come if I decide I even want to delve into it, because it's just ridiculousness at this point. And if you are listening to it, it's because you have a wicked your heart yourself. And I stand by that. So anyways, let's get into today's topic though. Tell me you're funny. Yeah. To all the men who are watching for anything else, that's the only tidbit you're going to get today because I got to save it for the reaction video. I got to save it for that. So today I'm going to talk about a topic completely unrelated called keeping the main things in the home. And I think raising successful kids can be summed up in these three things. Teach them to love God, love others, and love you. Love covers a multitude of sins. It covers mistakes. It covers errors. It covers so much if we truly show our kids how to love. My son is in the chat. Ask him. Hi, Chisum. We have made mistakes through the years. We have not been perfect parents. I'm sure we went overboard sometimes, and I'm sure we didn't pay enough attention to other things at other times. We have not been perfect, but one thing that my son knows is that we love him with our entire hearts. One thing that my son knows, all my kids, but I'm just talking about him since he's in the chat. One thing that he knows is that we love God first and foremost. Another thing he knows is that we love each other, my husband and I. My husband once told someone that our marriage is the marriage that he wants all of his kids to have. And we would not say that unless we weren't deliriously happy with each other and very confident in our love for each other and very peaceful in our love for each other. So my son has seen the love that his dad and I have for each other throughout the years because we've made each other a priority. He's also seen that we've put God first into our lives and that we've tried to teach our kids to love God and have a fear of God and not to obey the commandments of the Lord just because they were a checklist or God was going to get them, which I truly believe in God's chastening, yes, but because they loved God. That's what we've tried to put into our kids' hearts when it comes to that. So I think that way too many times parents complicate things. And since I am halfway through raising my kids, I've got 4 almost raised and I have 4 left to keep raising Lana. Allie is 14 down to 3. So if I had to tell young parents one thing though, I would tell them what I just listed above. Raising kids is more than having a checklist. It's more than beating them excessively for having a shortcoming or failing on some minute detail of some situation. So let's talk about keeping the main things when it comes to raising children, when it comes to raising kids. So when it comes to loving God, first and foremost, you show your kids your relationship with him. You show your kids how God is important to you. For us, one of those things has been service in our church. It's abnormal for our kids to even think about missing a church service. And it kills them if something comes up to where they have, whether that's like schooling or job or something. And believe me, they do everything within their power to not work. Not only they never work on Sundays ever, but Wednesday nights even too. That's important to them as well. So church is very important with us since the time that they were born. We have taken them to church religiously, Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. That is one of the ways we show them that our relationship with God is important because he told us, forsake not the assembling of yourselves together as the manner of some is. So we show them how we have a relationship with God when it comes to talking to him, praying with him, reading our Bible, just the way we talk about God in general terms. For us, I know with my family, my kids often jokingly refer to it as life lessons with mom, right? Because it used to be my mom that did this all the time, but since I have older kids, I find myself doing this too. Everything is a lesson. Everything has a moral to the story, right? And it doesn't matter. Sometimes my girls will actually just be like, "Mom, let me vent," because they're venting to me, and I'm trying to be like, "Okay, but we need to react this way, or we need to do this way." So sometimes they just want to react. But for me, God is so real to me, and my walk with him is so real to me, and my relationship with him is so real that I try to interweave him into the conversations at home all the time, whether that's with my little girls. Kelly, who made you so pretty? God. Who loves you even more than mommy and daddy do? God. From the time that they're little, we're having these conversations with them. We base every decision off of what God would want for us to do before we do anything, whether it comes to them getting a job or whatever schooling they're going to do, whatever decision, whether that's going to college or whether that's, just staying home and working or whatever it is, we try to ask them, what would God want in this situation? Would God be pleased with this decision? Or would this make God upset? Would this make him sad? Because that comes first when it comes to anything in our life. Teach our kids about loving him versus having a checklist mentality. Okay, you didn't break any of the 613 commandments, but do you love God? Do you love your wife? Do you love your kids? Do you love your husband? Do you love your kids? You didn't break any of these 600 commandments, but where is the love? That's the most important thing. Teach them why you serve in church versus, oh, I have to do this. I tell my kids all the time when it comes to ministry, we don't do ministry or we're not involved in ministry dependent on the outcome of how people either one perceive us or respond to us helping them. We don't go into that with that mindset. If you're a ministry wife, just remember this. People are going to hurt you. People are going to upset you. People are going to let you down. People are going to talk bad about you. People are going to talk bad about your husband. People are going to talk bad about your kids. People are going to lie about you. People are going to make things up about you. People are always going to read evil intentions into whatever you do. And it doesn't matter how nice you are. It doesn't matter how much you bend over backwards to help people. People are always going to read evil intentions into it based off of their own heart and based off of the way that they are projecting on you. In order not to get burnt out, because you will get burnt out if you're just doing it depending on having respect or having people look up to you or admire you or give you praise. If you're only doing it for those reasons, it will turn into, look at all we've done for you and you did nothing for us in return. We're not doing it for the people. We're doing it for the Lord. And that's what I've tried to tell my kids. You come and clean the church. It's for the Lord. It's not so that you get praised for it. It's not so you get thanked for it. It's not so you get paid for it. You're doing it because you love the Lord. If you help people out with monetary needs, you're doing it as a gift to the Lord. Yeah, yes, you gave it to people, but it's rather you're doing it as unto the Lord. So everything that we do in ministry is dependent on us doing it for the Lord. And that's what matters overall. He's going to see that. It doesn't matter what people say. It doesn't matter what lies people make up about you. God sees everything at the end. So teach them to have a personal relationship with him. And that's through prayer and Bible reading. Now, I'm not so always great on staying on top of this, but I do like my children to all read their Bibles before they start. Now, Kelly is also getting Bible class and Bible lessons, and she's memorizing Bible scripture through a Becca video school, and it's King James, and I love it. So, in fact, I posted a little video of her saying Romans 3:23 or Romans 6:23, one of those verses. And people were messaging me, where is this? Where can I find this on YouTube? It's not on YouTube, unfortunately. They go through and with the alphabet, for every letter, they learn a Bible verse throughout the year. So they'll have all of those Bible verses, at least 26 Bible verses memorized by the end of the year. And then they also memorize, as they get more advanced, whole passages of scripture. They'll learn the 10 Commandments. They will learn whole passages about loving the Lord thy God with all thy heart and thy soul and thy mind. And so I really, really, really like that curriculum. I do have her do the Bible time. She really enjoys it. She's learning all the Bible stories that they would normally learn in like a Sunday school setting. We have Sunday school at our church, but we don't do it like a normal kids Sunday school setting. We have different lessons taught where we're all together in the auditorium. So I really enjoy that. But just that's all a part of our life, our day-to-day life. It's talking about the Lord. It's talking about the things of the Lord. And I will even say, even with speech, your kids are going to emulate whatever speech you have and what you allow in the home. Because, like for us, I don't even like the word crap. My kids do say it. I don't. I don't like the words crap and suck. That's just me. That's how picky we are about language in our home. And you won't see my kids now. They've taken it a step further. I don't like those words. They will use those words. But whatever you do in moderation, your kids are going to do in excess. So if you are cussing, your kids are going to take that further and they're going to use even more language or worse language than you do. And yes, I think cussing is a sin because it's corrupt communication coming out of your mouth. And you can argue about that till you're blue in your face. But there's also no Bible verses condemning meth. But yet we know doing meth is most likely a sin because, it just is. Doing drugs, drinking alcohol. I mean, there are verses about alcohol specifically, but there are just some things we know are common sense. And there are verses about corrupt communication. So I believe that fits in there with it. There is a difference between the world's language and the way a Christian should talk, is what I'm saying. Anyone can fit in with the world's language. It takes someone of an exemplary character to not talk that way and to talk differently than the world. So, and then you follow his commandments at home. And like I said, not for a checklist, but just to let your kids know, I'm doing this because I love him. I'm doing this. I'm following his word. I'm following his commandments because I love him. But what are some ways that we keep the main things when it comes to loving our husbands? So your kids' first view of marriage starts with you. They are only until they're about 16, 17, 18, 19. They're going to be in your home seeing firsthand the way that you respond to your husband and the way that your husband responds to you. And a lot of their foundational views when it comes to relationships and marriage is going to come from what they first see in the home. That's why it is so hard if you've been raised in an abusive environment or you've been raised in a very toxic environment. It's so hard to break that cycle with your own children because that's all you saw growing up, and how your parents reacted to different situations is ingrained in you as a way of, oh, this is happening, I should react this way, whether it's through anger or passive aggressiveness. That's ingrained in them because that's what they saw exhibited. So when it comes to you as the wife, love their dad fiercely, defend him, and talk him up to your kids, because oftentimes the way that you talk about your husband is the way that eventually they're going to talk about your husband. And if you want your kids to have respect of your husband when it comes to different things down the road, such as listening to their dad's advice about buying a car or who to date or, buying their first home, that they're not going to have any respect for him if you have no respect for him. So, love their dad fiercely, show respect for their dad so they will also respect him. Your most important relationship with a human on this earth is your husband. It is. And you need to make that priority. Make spending time a priority with him. For us, this comes to different things, like oftentimes when my husband's ready to wind down for the day, we just go into our room and shut the door. We'll watch something to wind down, whether that's a show we're both interested in or just a comedy or something. We'll watch something on YouTube. Um, we'll watch something just to kind of wind down. And I know for him, it's important for him that I come to bed with him at that time, that I'm done with the housework. I'm done with all my piano work. I'm done with the kids' schoolwork. Everything's just calm. And so for us, we've always made that a priority. Now, when my kids were really little, it was priority that we had them in bed by 7:30 or 8, because then that was our only time for the next couple hours to spend together. So I've really built my schedule around him. So I would encourage all wives to build your schedule around your husband, do what he wants. And obviously this is going to look different from family to family. Maybe your husband likes you getting up early in the morning with him. Thank goodness mine does not, because he is an early bird. I am not. So that doesn't usually work out too well. I would be very groggy in the morning if he tried that, but he just prefers to be left alone in the morning and get ready and leave, early. So he's never asked me to get up early with him. Thank you. He's never asked me early to get up with him early or anything like that. For us, it's more like in the evening. That's kind of our time together. Since we have older kids now, one of our hobbies is going to work out together a few times a week. So we try to do that with each other. I cook the things for him he wants. That's why if he's on a trip, that's when I get all my foo-foo dishes that he won't normally touch. And when I say that, I mean anything casserole related or like lasagna, anything like that, because he hates that type of stuff. So that's when I make all of the food dishes that he doesn't like. I try to reserve all the other days I try to rotate around what he wants. Okay. I keep his needs first. So, and then also he likes his home to be peaceful. So I try to make it a peaceful place. That would look like no nagging. Um, Contrary to popular opinion, I am not a nag. I am not like a continually dropping. It's just some people are watching my every word, my every comment, and my every post. So that's why they think that. Um, and guys, it literally takes 10 seconds to leave a comment. Okay. It's not like all day long, you're just like on the keyboard, contrary to popular opinion. So, where was I going with it? Oh, yes. Contrary to popular opinion, I am not one who nags. I had learned a long time ago. I'm not saying I was never guilty of this because I had to learn the hard way. But when we were first married, I felt like if I said something, I should see like, okay, like, yes, ma'am, I'm gonna hop to it. No, my husband's not like that. I do not try to control my husband in any way, and he doesn't try to control me in any way. It goes both ways as far as like micromanaging what I do with my time, micromanaging in the home because the home is peaceful. Our home runs smoothly. So he's not looking over my shoulder, you know, making me fill out a timesheet to what I spent every single minute of the day doing. As long as the home is clean, his kids are happy and well taken care of, they're getting their school done, there's meals on the table. I'm spending time with him every day. He is very, very happy. I think most men are very simple. And if us wives would just learn to just do the simple things, then our husbands would be pretty happy. Now, every man is different. I'm going to throw that out there and you do what works for your husband. Maybe he likes to micromanage you a little bit more and that's fine. You know what? Just do it. It's not a big deal. We all have different personalities and all of our husbands have different personalities. So just adapt your schedule and the way the home runs around your husband. And hopefully you'll have an easygoing one like mine and life will be smooth and happy and easy. Um, but yeah, I think making the home peaceful is a big deal for most men. They don't want to just hear constantly as they're sitting there, complaining, bickering, yelling at the kids, different things like that. So obviously there's a time and a place where you need to tell your husband, like, listen, this went on today and this kid needs to be talked to, and there's been plenty of times when I've done that because let's be honest, it's a little bit more forceful coming from dad sometimes than it is from mom. So, but what about keeping the main things when it comes to loving our kids? So tell them on repeat. Tell them how much you love them. I don't care how old they are. I don't care if they're a baby. I don't care if they're a toddler. I don't care if they're a middle schooler. I don't care if they're a teenager. I don't care if they're an adult. Tell them that you love them. Show them that you love them. Put down your phone, look them in the eyes, spend time with them, laugh with them, play with them, correct them in love. So this is also a big one. I'm going to refresh this really quickly. Okay. So this is a big one when it comes to correcting them in love. You can have love with zero correction and you're going to create a monster. You can have correction with zero love and you're going to create a monster. So all of these things go together hand in hand, right? So let your kids know that even if they are getting punished, I still love you. This doesn't change my love for you, but because I love you, I have to, punish you. And they should have no doubt that number one, you love their dad, and number two, you love them. Okay. So I've kind of found with my kids that every age kind of has different ways or requires different ways of showing them that I love them or their dad loves them. Obviously, we say it all the time in our home. I just can't help it. My babies are so cute. I say it to them constantly. And you'll often hear Hannah just be like, Mom, I love you. Or Kelly, Mom, I love you. And they say that because they are told that all the time. Or Hannah will go, Mom, you're so pretty, because she hears that all the time. So when they're babies, obviously cuddle them, take time for them, nurse them, talk to them when you're nursing them. Don't just be on your phone mindlessly scrolling, interact with your babies. Because even as a baby, they're tracking you, right? Like their eyes are tracking you. They're watching you. They want to see your face. They want to smell you. They want to be near to you. So as a baby, that's kind of how we show them our love. As a toddler, this is when the correction starts, but we need to lovingly correct them. We don't need to fly off the handle. We don't need to do it in anger. We need to kiss them. We need to tell them that we love them. We need to play with them. Um, yeah, I'm not publicly going to tell that story yet, but I might. There was a situation where I saw years ago at a conference where I actually approached this woman's pastor and his wife, and I think he would still remember it if I brought it up. And I warned them that I had seen a lot of anger exhibited. And I said, just, it was a red flag to me. I just thought you might want to know this. So I'm not going to publicly tell this story at this time, but I might eventually because it's there, and I think they would still remember to this day what I'm talking about. But it had to do with disciplining a toddler. So there are ways to lovingly correct them. It doesn't take much. A couple little bops is about all you need. And they need to be kissed. They need to be loved on. They need to be played with. They need to be tickled. They need to be shown that you love them. From the time they're a baby until about 7 or 8, their personality is kind of being established. A lot of their connections with you as mom is being established. How safe they feel with you, how connected they feel with you, how close they feel with you. It's all being established in those very, very, very early years. So that's a very crucial time to just kind of let them know that mommy loves you. Mommy will always love you. You can feel safe with mom. You can tell mom whatever you need to, different things like that. So as a kindergartner, I have one as a toddler at 3. She's closer to 4, though. And then Kelly, who's a kindergartner. She still loves to snuggle with me. She has been my most attached child. I also co-slept with her the longest, and she nursed the longest, which tells you something. But she loves mommy. She's been very attached to me. They need words of affirmation. They need our attention. They need us to play with them. As a middle schooler, they kind of start coming into a lot of preteen angst. So as a middle schooler, they still need our love and they need it unconditionally. They're unsure of themselves. They start developing body odor and they don't know what's going on because suddenly they have all these emotions and hormones. And I kind of talked about that last week. So check that one out if you want to. But with your middle schooler, use kind words, hug them, love on them. They never stop needing that. Baby, toddler, kindergartner, middle schooler, and teen. Teens need this too. Teens need lots and lots of talking. This is where the mental game comes in. They are starting to see that there's a whole new world out there and that not every family does things the way that their family does it. So this is the time when they choose that they're going to rebel or that they are going to continue on in the paths that you have shown them and taught them. So at this point, you need to do a lot more talking and convincing rather than physical discipline. By the time our kids are to this age, there is no more physical discipline. Pretty much by the time they're about 12, 13, that ceases. We don't have to use that anymore. I firmly believe corporal punishment is for young kids. Corporal punishment is there to establish boundaries and establish that, there are consequences for sin. Basically, we are the first ones to show our kids that there are consequences for sin. And that all ties into salvation later on down the road. So for people who want to, call on the Lord for salvation, they have to first admit that they're a sinner, that there's something that they need saving from. And with our children, there are some things that just have to be established rules that might keep them safe in the future, whether it's not running out into the road when a car is coming, whether that's not going with a stranger, whether that's not climbing up on the refrigerator and trying to jump down with a parachute. There are different boundaries that we are establishing in their life, but corporal punishment should be limited to younger kids. That's just my belief on it. And we haven't had to use that on our teenagers because our teenagers had a healthy fear of God and a healthy fear of us and a healthy fear of letting us down because they love us. They did not want to let us down as their parents. So, but as they're teens, you're definitely still going to have to tell them that you love them, show them you love them by paying attention to them, going to their activities, being interested in their hobbies. Now, young adults and adults, it's the same thing, taking interest in their activities, loving them unconditionally, telling them you are proud of them. That's a huge one. Even with my littles, if they do a job well done, I will tell them, "Oh, I'm so proud of you. That was amazing. Great job." And you just see their face light up. So all of us are craving our parents' love. All of us are craving our parents' attention and our parents' admiration. All of us are craving that. So um, it's just it's important even as a young adult and even as an adult. This is very, very important. And then as an adult, let them fly, but be there to talk to them. Tell them you're proud of them. With my adult children, we talk daily. We have a group chat. We're always talking in there. My son calls me all the time when he's home, when he's driving home from work. So when he went off to college, I always made it sure to like tell him I loved him every night, and I was thinking about him, praying about him. I was invested in what was going on at college. I was invested when him and Jenna started their relationship with Jason. I've been very invested with him and Liz. I wanted to be a part, be there when he proposed. I just am, even though they're adults, 22, 21, almost 20, 17 and a half, even though they're technically adults, I don't want to just get them to 18 and then be like, okay, hands off, I'm done. Go. Hands off. So I'm very, very, very invested in their lives because I love them very much and they need to see that. So when it comes to loving others, this is another main thing because our kids they're going to see, first of all, a relationship with God. They're going to see, second of all, a relationship with their dad. Thirdly, they're going to see our relationship with them. And fourthly, they're going to see our relationship with others and those outside of the home, whether that's church members, whether that's enemies, whether that's, whatever it is. Number one, show them how to treat their enemies because they emulate what they see. If you are nasty to those that hate and despise you, they're going to be nasty to their enemies. Now, I will say there is a way to do this without foul language. There is a way to be bold and honest with someone about their disgusting behavior. And there are ways to do it. And me nor my children have a desire to ever use foul language or hurl, insults about someone's physical appearance or something like that when dealing with this type of thing. So show them how to forgive. If people come to you asking forgiveness, show your kids that you're not going to hold a grudge. And if someone's genuine and they're repentant and they want your forgiveness, show your kids how you forgive people. Show them how to establish boundaries in a correct way. And that's a good thing. Having boundaries is not bad. Standing up for what you believe is not bad. Telling someone the truth in love is not bad, and your kids need to see how you do that. Show them how to have compassion, grace, and mercy for others, even if others don't deserve it. Because at the end of the day, none of us deserve grace, compassion, and mercy from the Lord, yet he still gives it. And so since the Lord is the one that we're striving to be like at the end of all this, we need to try to act like the Lord would in different situations. Show them how to be strong and strong men standing for something without the need to use foul language or call names, because there's just really no need for it. You can get your point across without being crass or foul in the meantime. Show them how to talk to people, make friends, and keep friends. I truly believe that there's a lot of people that are broken when it comes to knowing how to do relationships. I don't know if counseling would help them. I don't know if getting under good preaching would help them. I don't know what would help them, but they have no idea how to develop and maintain close friendships. So I think that's a shame. And I want to try, every time I don't hold this, it falls down. I want to try to show my children how to keep and maintain friendships for years and years and years. And I've really tried to do that in my own life. I will say my best friend and I, Erica, we've been best friends for 31 years now. So that's long standing. And I will go to our grave probably being best friends. So that is long standing. I don't think anything will ever change that. And it's really neat to see as we look back kind of how full circle we've come, because there have been times in our life where we were completely different as far as the place we were at in our marriage with our husbands, um, children. She went 5 years without being able to have kids. Um, she did have a stepdaughter that she's raised since she was 4 or 5 years old, but biological children, she had a really hard time getting pregnant at first. It was 5 years before they had their first. In those 5 years, I had two, and I think we both had. She had her first Thane, and I had my first or my third Abby around the same time. So Abby was born in November, and then Thane was born in January on my birthday, which is really cool. Her first child was born on my birthday. So um, just that we've had different seasons with that, different seasons where, her and her husband were backslidden at one time, but then now her husband's a pastor. So now we've kind of come full circle. We're both married. We both have a bunch of kids, and we're both married to IFB preachers. So it's kind of cool because our life is so similar now in how we in what we do in a lot of areas. She's a pastor's wife, doing a lot of stuff in her church, homeschooling her kids. I'm a pastor's wife doing a lot in my church, homeschooling my kids. So it's really cool just to see full circle how it's come. And we've loved each other without there's always been differences, in how we've approached things and things that were going on in our life, but we've loved each other unconditionally through all that. And I want my kids to see that there can be long relationships, even the relationship with their dad and I. I know we're been married 23 years now. So over 2 decades, and we'll go to the grave being married. So I want them to see that strong relationships can happen if you put the work in. So at the end of it all, kids have to choose their own paths. And as a kid, there are things in the Bible that you're commanded to do too, but that doesn't mean as parents, we can act like lunatics and treat our kids any way we want and then scream about honoring us or honoring your father and mother. You have to do this. It doesn't absolve us from our responsibilities of raising our kids well and teaching them how to love the Lord. Those two things go hand in hand. Raising our kids well and teaching them how to love the Lord, teaching them to love their dad, teaching them to love others, teaching them to love the things of the Lord. That all goes hand in hand. It doesn't matter if you keep TV out of your home or your kids never watch a movie. It doesn't matter how modestly you dress. It doesn't matter if you beat your kids over the most trivial things. If your home is a war zone, if you don't love their dad and you don't love them, they won't choose this life that you're raising them in. And that's just the fact of the matter. You can scream about your checklist of rules that your kids never broke. But at the end of the day, if they don't feel that you love them, it doesn't really matter. There's a lot more that goes into raising kids than just having a checklist of do's and don'ts. It's not, I did everything perfectly and they still chose to go this way. But re-examine why. Why? I know a lot of good families, a lot of good pastors, families that maybe they have a prodigal son or they have a prodigal daughter. Oftentimes it seems to be the son for some reason, but they have a prodigal son. And that's a shame and that happens. But most of the ones that I've known, it's been like 1 out of 5 or 1 out of 10, or it's very rare that that happens. So, as parents, I was talking to the mom of a prodigal son once, and she told me, she said, because I told her, I said, well, they all have to choose their own path and they all have to make their own decision on whether or not they're going to continue serving the Lord. And she told me, she said, that is true. But through all of this, I've really looked hard at mistakes that I've made in the past. And I feel like a lot of parents can use that. And this is coming from a mom with prodigal. Okay. She said this, not me. She said, I feel like a lot of parents can use that as a cop out and as a way to not accept responsibility for places that they messed up while raising that child. So she told me she's really looked hard at her parenting and she's tried to change some things that she thought maybe could have contributed to their son walking away from it all. And from what I've seen, her other adult children are serving the Lord and following the same way. So it's worked for her. So she's readjusted, her and her husband, because they had a lot of kids behind that one that was the prodigal. So they've readjusted and it's working because their other kids are choosing to marry right, to marry pure, continue on in the ministry, and continue serving the Lord. So, as parents, I feel like we always do have to reevaluate and just make sure that our priorities are correct. But number one, we got to keep the main things the main things. If you teach your children to love God, to love Jesus, to follow his commands because they love him, if you teach your kids to love their dad by loving their dad and by showing them what that love looks like. If you teach your kids to respect their dad by respecting their dad. If you teach your kids to obey their dad by you obeying their dad. I have never once on this show encouraged rebellion against your husbands, and I never will. In fact, I say often on this show that every home life is different, but you do what your husband wants. Okay. It doesn't matter what my husband wants me to do, but what matters is what your husband wants you to do. So you build your life around your husband. You build your schedule around your husband. You do your husband's whims and wishes and wants and desires. You do that for your husband. But we show our kids how to respect their dad by respecting him. We show our kids how to obey their dad by us obeying them. We show our kids how to love their dad by us loving their dad. And then showing your kids how to love other people as well. How we treat other people is often how our kids are going to treat other people. How we treat our enemies is often how our kids are going to treat our enemies. So just keep that in mind. I cannot reiterate these truths enough. If we could do those three things, teaching our kids to love God, us, and others, it would eliminate so many problems in the world. Mm-hmm. Yes, that is exactly right, Elena. She said, after 12, kids don't do what you tell them they should do. They will see the true you and mirror your behavior. From the time to about 12 up to adults, they are picking up on your actions rather than your words. And more is caught than taught, especially after that age. So, okay, I think that's about it for this week. If you have any suggestions, leave them down below. The next couple of weeks is going to be a wild card. I don't know what's going on as far as this hurricane in Florida. I'm hoping we're still going to be able to go to family camp, and we would be leaving next Sunday after church if that was the case and driving through the night. So I would not have a live next Monday. I'm hoping we would be back by the following Monday night, but I don't know if we will. We would probably be driving most of the day Sunday again. We'd probably leave Sunday night. I think we might stay for church at Revival that Sunday. So I don't know. It just depends on this hurricane. Was it like Melvin or something? And there's the phone. So I'm going to sign off for now.